keywords in messages to decide to read them. But if people had fun, at least, setting up programs that would automatically put such keywords into their mail.
No, the NSA admits they do that, and that's one of the 20-year-old technologies, as I'm sure you know. You're being humble. But, no, I mean, in fact, there was articles in, like, 2002 where they were complaining that citizens, what's the term for that, where I say, yeah, I got the football, I got the green stuff. Yeah, did you hear about that nuke that's going to go off? Yeah, I'll tell you what else. And of course, they also reported that really economic espionage is what's happening. So, yeah, this new processor is 9 times faster than anything else IBM's got, but don't let Bob know. I'm going to be delivering it next Tuesday. That just drives them completely ape.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope so, because if we keep them busy enough, maybe they won't attack us as much. But I have a feeling that won't solve the problem. Really, I don't see anything that's going to solve this problem except talking about freedom and demanding freedom and condemning the government attacks on our freedom and rejecting the excuses.
So it's political will. We've got to recognize tyranny when it's in front of our nose.
That's the only solution I can see, if it's a solution. It's not going to be easy. I wish I knew some clever technical method that could protect our freedom. I was lucky, in one particular area, I saw a way that through technical work we could protect our freedom, but only particular aspects of our freedom. All the others, well, they're different.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, we're really appreciative of your time, sir. Other facets, other points that people should be made aware of that from your research and others' research that are real threats to freedom right now, because it seems not just threats. We have this surveillance being institutionalized to where there's just no such thing as a Fourth Amendment.
Yes. We see the logic for reasoning about privacy rights is screwed up in the U.S. It may have worked okay in the past. The argument usually is if a policeman could see it from the street, then he's got a right to look. And that made sense, sort of, in 1960. But now, with computers that can record so much data, if it's okay for the police to set up cameras and other kinds of sensors everywhere to keep track of everything that a policeman could theoretically have possibly seen from a public place about you, and put all that together, then he knows everything about you.
Yeah, and the pendulum's going the wrong way. Well, look at London, 4 million cameras, and now they've made it illegal to videotape the police, and they walk up and threaten to arrest tourists now, videotaping monuments. I mean, government is way out of control because private corporate interests have turned government into nothing but their little lapdogs. Yes, and a large part of the cause of this actually is so-called free trade treaties, yes, which I'd rather call low-wage treaties, because these treaties take the power from governments, yes, and give them to businesses. The business say, to the governments, if you don't do exactly what we want, we'll move to some other country. And the governments respond by saying, oh, yes, we'll do whatever you want. Of course, the politicians mostly aren't really strongly imbued with a wish to do anything else, and they probably are somehow going to get rewarded for going along. But when the people go to them and say, we demand you regulate this practice, the politicians have a ready excuse. They say, well, given this treaty, the companies will all just move to another country, so it's futile to even try to regulate them. And then that creates a global standardized corporate law, which has no liberty, no freedom, no due process. They call that globalism, and then they hire a bunch of phony leftists and right-wingers to go around pushing it and spewing it, and now they're trying to move Internet control into these international bodies. Do you think the Internet's going to survive? I can't see the future. I tend to be somewhat of a pessimist by nature. It's just that even if I feel discouraged, I keep on fighting. So it's not particularly bad that I'm a pessimist, but the point is, if I tried to answer that question, all I could do is
tell you my pessimism, which doesn't prove anything. That's not the point. The real question is, what can we do to fight this? We have to demand the abolition of these so-called free trade treaties. You see, the arguments for those free trade treaties are narrow-minded. They say, well, it makes for economic efficiencies. And it does. If all you're interested in is pure, flat-out efficiency of production, then, yeah, they work. But they give all their benefits to rich people, and they corrupt the laws of every country that's participating, and that hurts us far more than the benefits economically we might hope to get.
All right, final segment with our guest, Richard Stallman. Straight ahead, I'm Alex Jones. Stay with us. All right, folks, the show is almost over. Rebroadcast with reports from Bilderberg 2009, kind of a wrap-up of all the latest developments there. And bills to where without arrest, without charge, it just puts you on a terror list as a citizen, like the no-fly list, you can't own guns. I mean, it's getting crazy. Free speech bills where if you hurt somebody's feelings, you're arrested. Cyberbullying Act. And, of course, it's Internet only. You know, we noticed that the media and the establishment have tried to demonize the Internet, sir. And they've tried to, but now they're kind of having to join it, but they still demonize it at the same time. I'm pessimistic, but I'm also positive that they've tried to control it and demonize it and kind of mutate it before, and that they are getting a lot of what they want in the way of tyranny, but in a way people are just ignoring them, and we're going around them. Or final comments on that front, anything positive?
You may be partly right, but, you know, I don't keep track of the things that are working well. I read the news about the threats and the outrages. So, yeah, I keep on using the Internet to talk with people about the free software movement. I continue posting links to articles about various kinds of outrages typically committed by governments and religious fanatics. And so far, I haven't been stopped from doing this.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you that we need to focus on the bad stuff that's happening so that the good can continue to be gotten out, and we just commend you. How do folks visit the two different organizations, and how do they support what you're doing, sir?
Well, there's GNU.org, which is the site of the GNU system and the Free Software Movement. There's FSF.org, which is the Free Software Foundation, where they could join and get other resources. And my personal site is Stallman.org, and that's where I post notes about other political issues and anything else I want to post that doesn't fit into those two organizations.
Stallman.org. Stallman's a great place to read your writings and more research. Well, sir, next time we won't keep you for 50 minutes, but next time if you'll come back on as things develop and unfold a few times a year, we'd like to get more reports from you. So I really appreciate you coming on. Okay, he is gone then. He took that as the cue to go. Let's bring up Ted Anderson because he is there with us at the end of the show here. Look, I got in my silver rounds, ladies and gentlemen. I already had a few of these. Everybody talks about how these are the prettiest. If you're watching at PrisonPlanet.tv or on the web later at PrisonPlanet.tv, these are the prettiest silver coins I've ever seen. They're sold out almost everywhere. Ted has a whole bunch of them, but is almost sold out at the lower price before silver went up a few weeks ago. Look at these. Let's show folks a close shot of those. That's what I've got them there for. Look at these 1 ounce silver coins, Lakota Nation, and it is just gorgeous. It's really shiny mirror image silver, and on the back, it has a buffalo, as you can see right there. I mean, just look at this, folks. It doesn't get more gorgeous than this, and these things are going for $25 everywhere. Ted Anderson has them for $19, and you are not going to find a deal like that anywhere. Hey, Ted, I just wanted to bring up right here at the very end of the show, because I finally have a bunch of these to show people, and you've got these in stock. Tell folks, I mean, because you buy a bunch of them, you pass on that wholesale discount to everybody, don't you, Ted?
Yeah, sure do. And actually, they're 1966. So, I mean, I don't want to make any confusion out there. But $19, yeah, 66. But anyways, yeah, we did buy a whole bunch of them. And now with silver where it is right now, they're going to be over the $20 range, even with me. So if you're interested, call us at 800-686-2237. It is a gorgeous coin. There's no question about it, Alex.
Absolutely. In fact, guys, show them this stack over here again. I've never seen a silver coin like this. In fact, as good as they look on camera, You just really can't do justice to these bad boys. Ted Anderson, 800-686-2237, 800-686-2237. Brokers will be there until midnight tonight to take advantage of that very low price while it lasts. Thank you, Ted.
Thanks for having me up, Alex.
You bet. Okay, retransmission starts now on the web at Infowars.com. Don't forget the free podcast on the listen page at Infowars.com. Spread the word. That's how we get the information out about liberty. Take care. Great job, crew.